Hey guys, Kamikaze Egoon here, and today I'm going to finally finish up part 3 of my Super Nintendo collection. So this is, like I said, going to be the last of my collection videos as of right now, but, if I do get any more, honestly, you're probably just going to end up seeing them in my pickups. So with that out of the way, let's get this started. Now this one here is Home Alone 2. Now, this came out on many other different systems. Most of these games were vastly different from one another, but as far as I can tell, the Nintendo, Game Boy, and this version here were all the same game. It's a terrible game too, though, but for what it is, you could probably get like 5 minutes of enjoyment out of it before wanting to throw it out a window. But and another thing too, this was a game that I got as a kid. Like I had no idea how terrible it was gonna be until I actually opened it and played it. And I mean that was kind of like the fun of being a gamer back in the '90s was you had no idea how good a game was gonna be. Now this here is Rocco's Modern Life. Um, Again, it's really well animated, but it's a really hard game to get into. Like you have to be able to guide your pet dog through different various levels. Like there's a beach level. I think there might be like a factory. I don't know. I haven't gotten very far in it. To be honest, I got bored. I got tired of trying to do the same exact commands and not getting any. It just doesn't feel like I got anywhere in that game. Now this is Populous. This is another game. I really feel like you should have a like a player's guide or a manual to go with that game because it's kind of like almost like a three-dimensional Sim City sort of pseudo game, but I can't get the hang of it at all. Like I don't understand what the controls are or what I'm doing. It's a very what the hell am I doing kind of game, but it looks really nice at least. But if you don't have a manual for it, I'm assuming it's just not that much fun to play. Speaking of a game that's not fun to play, Lion King. Now a lot of people love this game. I have a love-hate relationship with this game. Like I love the first level, but everything after that, it just feels like it falls apart. Like especially when it comes to the hit detection, a lot of games under that company name, Virgin Games, I've had serious issues with just in general like character detection, hit detection, anything like that. It makes it a lot harder for me to enjoy those games. And not to say that they make terrible games. I mean, they've gotten, they did what was it, Aladdin on the Genesis, which that was pretty good. And up there, I've got a copy of Cool Spot for the Genesis as well, and those were okay. They're not great by any means, but they were still somewhat fun to play. Now this one is more recent. Uh, Final Fight 2 on the Super Famicom. Now, what I like about this game is it is the exact same game that we got here in the United States. But if you are looking to buy games cheaper than what, the American market would be, I would definitely consider importing this. This cost me $10, whereas the US copy, I believe at the time ran about 35. It's a lot of the same thing you would expect from the original game. It's two players, there's two new characters. You still get to use Mike Hagar, and it's a lot of fun. Now, this one, everybody talks about this game having one of the most, I want to say, deceiving covers. It's not terrible at all. Like, it's a really good shooter. It's not one of the best ones on the system, but, it's still really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I've put in maybe a couple of hours into it. And I mean, it's a lot like if you're used to games like R-Type or what was that other game? UN Squadron? It's a lot like that. It's a lot of fun. And here we have Addams Family. I was going to put this on the games I'm not too fond of list, but you know, recently I did go back and play it again, and I actually really enjoy it. I mean, yeah, it does have its flaws. Like the floors feel like you're walking on ice. Sometimes, you know, like your projectiles will not hit no matter how straight you make those things out to be. But other than that, it's still really fun. Um, I think my biggest complaint would be the slippery floors. Like so many times I have died because of those floors. But other than that, I mean, it's a really cheap game too. I mean, you can probably still to this day pick this thing up for like $5 easy. Here's a game that really needs no introduction, and that is FZero. Now, I remember playing this as a kid too, and I loved the hell out of this game. My only complaint being is that I wish that it was a two-player game. You know, because I mean, a few months later, Mario Kart came out, and you know, I mean, that was the game we played was Mario Kart. I mean, but I still remembered FZero at least. It's still a great game too. Like if would this one run me about like $10 a couple years ago? It hasn't gone up too much, but it's still fantastic. And you know, this one also deserves a lot more love than it gets. Like I would really love to see like the Switch get a new FZero game. Like I don't think we've gotten anything since the GameCube. Now this game here, where is it? Here we go. I actually have the box for, and that is Cutthroat Island. Now, a lot of people have actually said this is a pretty decent game. Like, it's somewhat of a hidden gem, and it is. Like, at first glance, though, I mean, the graphics don't look the best, but as far as it goes, as for, you know, like as a beat 'em up, it's really good. Like, I really enjoyed the heck out of it. Um, yeah, that's all I really had to say about this. Like, I mean, I've got a whole bunch of other beat 'em ups I would rather play, but you know, for what this game is, too, if you find this just sitting there for a few dollars, I would definitely consider picking it up. It's really good. This one here, we have Tiny Toon Adventures Buster Bust Loose. This too, like a lot of these, like you're not going to pay a whole lot for, and I feel like this one really slid under the radar. Um, a lot of, and especially considering it's made by Konami, I think that's the biggest crime. But if anything else, is that you know it's a really good Konami game that nobody notices, nobody really talks a lot about, and it's a really good platformer game. And you know because nobody notices it, obviously you're going to be able to find this one pretty friggin' easy. Now, this one here, I've actually played a ton of this game back in the day. Could not get very far though. Like the first level, I believe it was I don't know who it is you use. Well, actually no, you don't even get a no, I'm thinking Spider-Man Arcade. This one here, you know, you get to pick between 5 different X-Men, and like in the beginning, some of these levels are pretty easy, but it doesn't take very long for it to get really challenging. Like I can't get far in this game at all. Like even as a kid, I could not. I just could not beat this game. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. But I stayed on. You know, I swear I think it was Wolverine's level for at least most of the time that I had this thing rented out. Like I just could not get anywhere in it. So I mean, if you guys are gonna pick that one up, just be warned, it is a challenging game. This one here also was one I played as a kid, Killer Instinct. That's labels all shredded up. But this too is another fantastic game that I had a lot of experience with. I played a lot of that and Killer Instinct Gold. And both of them, I mean, especially for the Super Nintendo, this was around the time when Rare was making games that had more of a 3D polish, like, you know, Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong Country, and it still looks great to this day. Like, if you were to pop this thing in, it still looks incredible, especially for the Super Nintendo. Um, got a lot, like I said, I got a lot of play out of that. My personal preference, though, is Killer Instinct Gold for the Nintendo 64. Maybe I'll show you guys that game too when time comes for me to do a collection video of that as well. Now, this one, I had found this one I've been trying to beef up my RPG collection on the Super Nintendo, and this is Brain Lord. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call this an RPG. This is more like a puzzle solving action adventure game. But don't let that deceive you. It is still a lot of fun. Later on in the game, it does get a lot trickier. Um, you get to go between different character choices. And the difficulty lies in those puzzles. Like some of them, you'll rack your brain on them, but it is still really awesome. I think I picked this. As far as I don't know why. I don't know why it's labeled as an RPG. A lot of people think this is, but I really do not feel that way about that game. But on the low end, you'll find that for like $20, and it's an amazing game, and it's made by Enix too, of all things. So you definitely should check this one out. It is very unique in its own right. Let's see here. This next one I have the manual for, and that is Clay Fighters. Now this too is there were a lot of games on the Super Nintendo that did not look like they belonged on that system. Like previously mentioned, Killer Instinct, Donkey Kong Country, and this Clay Fighters. Everything is, as the title implies, everything is made to look like it's straight up clay animation, and it looks really cool. Like I was really impressed at the time. Not my favorite fighting game by any means. Some of the controls are really weird, and the humor, well, the humor is very 90s. So if if you have that mindset, I'm sure you'll be in for a good time. But if you have other fighting games to play, I would honestly recommend those over this one. But if you're into it for the visuals, just to see how this looks, yeah, it's very impressive. Now this one here, I remember my mother picked this game up back in the day, and we actually played this more than she did. Like this is how us as kids learned how to play blackjack and poker. Like that game right there was solely responsible for that, and we had a blast. It was made by which is strange, it's made by Hell Laboratories, the same guys that make the Kirby games, and there were a few others I can't recall off the top of my head. But what's great about this game, it's just a basic like casino game. You can go up to different casinos, different tiers, rankings, that sort of thing. Sometimes you'll get like random people will show up on your screen and ask you things like, "Hey, can you hold my purse?" Or, "Hey, I lost $20. Could I borrow some money and then possibly pay you back?" And sometimes your choices pay off, sometimes they don't. It's never the same twice. Never the same thing twice. And I think one of the coolest things is sometimes a cyborg will walk right up to you in this game, like completely out of left field. Like you would not expect to see something like that in such a, I want to say, casual game. But it is a lot of fun. And there is another game my mother had picked up years ago from that same sale. I'm still looking to find this title too, and if I do, I will finish my story then, because no, this other game that she had picked up too is just a really weird one that I would have to go into detail about this one. It's just so strange. But this next game I have here is what probably everyone owns on the Super Nintendo by default, Mario Paint. Now, I also had this as a kid, and this was so much fun. We didn't have a computer back then, and the idea that we could, draw, animate, make music, that sort of thing on a Super Nintendo was fucking amazing. Nowadays, you could do that, from your phone. You could literally do it from wherever the hell you're standing, but back then it was a real treat. And the fact that it came with its own mouse, its own mouse pad, I think that's so cool. Like it was such a neat little thing that the system had. And I believe Sega also did something like that with Sonic Wacky Worlds. I know I have the game up here, but I do not have the mouse for that yet. Now this one here, Stunt Race FX. This one I just played about maybe a year ago. Um, it was on the coattails of games like Star Fox, and it's not a terrible game. It is a bit glitchy in certain places, and honestly, again, it's just, for me, it's not Mario Kart. So, it's still a fun racing game to add to your collection. But you're sometimes, I mean, I don't know. I have problems with the visuals themselves. Like, it looks very basic. Like, if I were to compare that to Star Fox, I would definitely pick Star Fox over Stunt Race FX any day of the week. Okay, on to the last stack of games. Now, this here is my childhood copy of Donkey Kong Country. I have to say that I love this game. The hype for this game, too, was something that was almost unheard of during that time. Like, I remember being a subscriber to Nintendo Power, and one of the things they had sent out was this leaf-colored VHS tape, just showing people, like, all the work that went into, making Donkey Kong Country. And I think this is probably the better game out of the trilogy that came out. Like, everybody loves Diddy Kong's Quest, and I get it. That game is great too, but I don't know. I personally just feel like Donkey Kong Country was the better game. Now, let's see here. Yeah, let's put those ones there. Okay, this next game is Mario AllStars. We also got to play this back in the day, and it was kind of cool seeing, like an HD, well, not really an HD, but like a remake of a game we had already played, we were already familiar with, but, Nintendo, took the initiative to make it look nicer, tweak a little bit when it comes to the control department, and even give us the, what they call the lost levels, aka Mario 2. And yeah, for a lot of us, that was our first time actually getting to experience Mario 2. And I mean, that sucker's balls hard. Like, that game is ridiculous. Like, I still have not beaten Mario 2. Although I would really enjoy getting like a Nintendo version of that, like an NES copy. Even if it's not on like a Famicom disk system, like even a repro. Like something just to be able to experience the original game. Because I feel like when they made this game, they had they made it to where, like, whenever Mario lands, he's his landing's a bit slippery, and I mean, maybe that's just how the game was made, but it just feels like the controls are a little bit off. So I would like to go back and actually experience that on the Nintendo. But this next game I'm going to show you here, of course, came with our Super Nintendo, and that is Super Mario World. This was a game I poured so many hours into. Like, anytime our cousins came over, anytime we were at any kind of social event, anything with our family, that was the game that everybody popped in, because it was a two-player game. It was Mario. Very simple. Everybody understood it. If you've not played this, I don't know, you could probably download it. You could probably get it on the Switch. There are many, many, many ways of attaining a copy of that game. Secondhand, like, I think the game's running about like $25 now, which is kind of stupid. Now, these last three I'm going to show you, these are some of my favorite games within this pile. This one here is Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Now, this was also a game I never got to play until way later on down the road, and I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it, especially the two-player aspect. I had a couple friends over not long ago, and that's what we played. We couldn't get to the very end, which I believe it was like 56 levels of monster slaying madness, but we had so much fun. Like, we were drinking and having a ball with this game. It's really good. You know, you go around pretty much trying to explore this little map and save your neighbors or whoever you can actually rescue in this map before, you know, the zombies, chainsaw men, demon babies, or whatever else tries to abduct them. Um, it's really fantastic. Not sure what it's going for nowadays, but I'm pretty sure like when I picked this thing up, I paid like $30, but I got a free game with it too. So I mean, I can't complain at all. Now this, what I have here is Contra III: The Alien Wars. Now this, I had the probably the worst time trying to locate a copy of this game outside of eBay. It just came to me recently, actually, within this last year. Um, you know, and I've played it before on, you know, like an emulator and whatnot, but I thought it was great. You know, it's a lot of the same thing you would expect from the first two original Contra games. I'm not counting Contra Force because I don't even think that's a real Contra game, but it's still really fun. You definitely should get a copy of this game if you do decide to start collecting for the Super Nintendo. There's not really much change to it, but you know, why change something that isn't broken? Now, this last game here, I recently gotten a lot of games, and I honestly can't believe I had paid as little as I did for this game. And that is Castlevania Dracula X Chrono. Dracula X Chrono? No, it's just Castlevania Dracula X. Sorry, I'm confusing this for the PSP game that I have of this is what, well, not of this game, but of the game it's based on, Rondo of Blood. Now, I've played this before picking this up, and one of my biggest issues is just the fact that it does not. I mean, it does play a lot like Castlevania 4, but they took a lot of things away from it too. And, you know, a lot of people consider this like the black sheep of the Castlevania family, but, you know, I enjoy it for what it is. I mean, I'd much rather play Rondo of Blood, but it's still a lot of fun. Um, I've seen what it goes for on eBay though, and like it should almost be a crime considering what I paid on this thing because like it was freaking ridiculous. Um, is it worth it though? No, it really is not. I think the last time I seen it, like a loose card alone was close to about $200. So yeah, no, you can get Super Castlevania 4. That game is so much better, so much cheaper, and you know, I just I don't know. I really felt a kind of cut back on that one. But I am still looking for. I would love to get a copy of Bloodlines if I can ever find a loose copy of that because complete one is just ridiculous and out of my price range for sure. But anyways, guys, that is the very end of my Super Nintendo collection. I am sorry it took 3 videos in order to do that. But I did want to talk about everything. So thank you again for subscribing to my channel, tuning in. But please, if you are new to this channel, please, if you like my videos, do subscribe. Do hit the thumbs up on the like. And you know, I mean, comment, say things. Let me know. You know what you guys think of these videos, things I can improve on. Very soon here too, as well. I had just ordered an HD camera, so I will be filming with that camera from now on. So this will probably be, well, no, because I've got one more video planned with this uh, phone that I have here. So. After that, though, we will be upgrading. So thank you again for your patience, guys. And thank you for tuning in and checking out my collection videos. And until next time, thanks for watching.